What follows is a brief excerpt from a morning Bible study as we continued working through the book of John. In chapter 12, there's an event we have come to know as the triumphal entry. As we examine the passage more carefully this time, Tony and I realized two things. First, the people lining the roads, laying down palms, shouting Hosanna were not, for the most part, the Jewish inhabitants of Jerusalem. Jesus was popular outside of Jerusalem, and these were the outsiders exalting him. The pilgrims that had come for Passover week, and many of them were Gentiles. During the Passover week, Jerusalem's population would swell to 3 million people. So the first thing we noticed was that it was not Jerusalem that was welcoming Jesus. It was pilgrims and Gentiles and outsiders. And the second major point is this. Jesus was not triumphant and joyful, we don't think, as he entered the city on a colt. He was weeping for the city, maybe, that had rejected him, and the city that was about to crucify him. This was not a triumphant moment for Jesus, but a tragic one. He was weeping for the city that he entered. While Tony was in Artesia, New Mexico, she directed a play called The Bride. It was quite a production, and the response was so strong they repeated the performance the following year. As Tony mentions in this clip, one of the most climactic scenes of the play was the triumphal entry. I'll let Tony take it from there.
The Bride, which is truly an incredible drama. And of course we did it 2 years in a row. So I had a chance to perfect. But I feel like for the scene of the Palm Sunday, we had a real donkey. And Aaron Horner, who was playing Christ, rode it down the aisle to the front of the church, with all of us praying the donkey didn't defecate. Mm-hmm. But it was an amazing scene. But I realized, and when I said, you'd think I was crazy, I feel like I need to sit down and write the church a letter and say, I am so sorry. I should have read this account in all 4 Gospels and compared for accuracy and not taken the word of the script, because it should have been played differently. And I mean, I played it traditionally.
Mm-hmm. With the as triumph.
Mm-hmm. And it should have been played so differently. And I know a lot of you that were here are gone, and some of you are here that weren't here, but I just feel like I need to correct that. I wish I could go back and correct it with all the audiences, because people came from Carlsbad and Roswell and even Albuquerque to see it. Certainly Cloudcroft and Ruidoso. And that should have been shaped so differently. I haven't ever come across any other thing except Jesus going to hell. And I'm still not sure about that. In that whole production that I think we did wrong. I think we did everything else beautifully. But man, did we play that scene incorrectly. And it makes me sad. And I just feel like it needs to be corrected. I feel like writing Tom and saying, okay, you were a minister. Why did you let me do this? Probably didn't realize either.
Well, I've never challenged tradition on that. So how would you instruct Aaron to play that now? I mean, even amplified, which I've become more and more impressed with in comparison to the accuracy, headlines it the triumphal entry. How would you have told Aaron to play it?
I would have had him weep. And I would have had him pause at some point that we could determine and quote the line about Jerusalem, whether it was in the script or not, just so it would be very plain what his heart was feeling while the people around him were oblivious.
So there you go. Again, it's a short clip, but maybe it will get you to thinking, as we have, differently about Palm Sunday, Jesus' heart, and what we call the triumphal entry. Just a couple of show notes. First, Tony didn't feel well at all and was not aware even that I was recording. It was 6 a.m. and her throat was raw, but as always, she was a trooper. Secondly, she mentioned Jesus going to hell, and we should probably clarify that within the script of the bride, there's a scene in which Jesus, played by Aaron, descends into Hades. The biblical justification for this scene would most likely be in 1 Peter 3:18 through 20, but as Tony mentions, it could be argued that this scene was in the script for dramatic effect more than biblical accuracy. That said, thanks for listening, and as always, stay close.